Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a high-stakes balancing act that pretty much every pet parent wrestles with, but we rarely talk about just how complex it gets. We are talking about protecting our pets from parasites. On one side you've got microscopic mites, relentless fleas, and literally life-threatening worms. But on the other side, we've got potent pharmaceutical preventatives. So how in the world do we strike the right balance for the animals we love?
It all really boils down to this core dilemma, right? How do we effectively stop these parasites from ravaging our pet's health while successfully navigating the rare, but very real, risks of the medications that are designed to save them? Well, to figure that out, we need to cut through the marketing fluff and look straight at the medical data and veterinary guidelines.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, year-round parasite prevention. Second, the isoxaline safety alert. Third, curing sarcoptic mange. And finally, the heartworm treatment ordeal.
Let's dive into Section 1, Year-Round Parasite Prevention.
Let's start by establishing a baseline. The Companion Animal Parasite Council, they're this independent group of experts, have some incredibly proactive core tenets. They don't just say, give your dog some medication. They emphasize continuous, year-round, broad-spectrum control against fleas, ticks, heartworm, and intestinal parasites. They also mandate annual heartworm testing and regular fecal exams. And interestingly, they strongly advise feeding cooked or prepared foods instead of raw diets, along with strict environmental hygiene. You know, things like picking up backyard waste at least weekly.
What's really fascinating here is that consistent parasite prevention isn't just about handing your dog a chewable pill once a month. It's a completely holistic lifestyle choice. By managing your pet's environment and their diet right alongside their medication, you're actively preventing zoonotic diseases. Those are the illnesses that can jump from animals to humans from ever setting foot in your home.
Moving right along to Section 2, the isoxaline safety alert.
So, let's talk about the isoxaline class of drugs. If you're a pet parent, you almost certainly recognize these brand names: Bravecto, Credelio, NexGard, Simparica, Revolution Plus. These are massively popular, FDA-approved oral chewables and topicals used to prevent flea and tick infestations. And honestly, they are incredibly effective at what they do.
But here is where that balancing act really kicks in. The FDA explicitly considers this class of drugs safe and effective for the vast majority of dogs and cats. However, they did issue a safety alert. Why? Because these products have been associated with neurologic adverse reactions. We're talking about muscle tremors, ataxia, which is a loss of coordination, and even seizures, sometimes in animals with absolutely no prior neurological history. Now, the takeaway here is absolutely not to panic. It's just to consult your vet, look at your pet's specific medical history, and make an informed decision.
Which brings us to Section 3, Curing Sarcoptic Mange. Sarcoptic mange, or canine scabies, is an absolute nightmare. It's an intensely itchy skin disease caused by microscopic mites that literally burrow into the skin, causing hair loss, scabs, and nasty secondary infections. Plus, it's incredibly contagious, and this detail honestly blew my mind. These mites can survive off the host and in your environment for up to 21 days.
When your pet is suffering from the intense, agonizing itching of scabies, speed is everything. And actually, this is exactly where those controversial isoxalines really shine. Recent studies show that molecules like fluorolanir can achieve 100% parasitological cure, meaning absolutely zero mites left on the skin, by day 14. In contrast, traditional, older medications like macrocyclic lactones, they can take up to 60 days to reach that same 100% mark. Both of them work eventually, for sure, but those newer drugs offer a much faster end to the suffering.
Okay, let's head into our final section, Section 4, the heartworm treatment ordeal. As awful as skin mites are, they really pale in comparison to heartworm. To grasp what it actually takes to cure heartworm, we looked at the gold standard protocol from the American Heartworm Society. Their goal is to safely eliminate adult and immature worms while minimizing complications. But as you'll see, minimizing those complications is a brutal, grueling process.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's a 270-day ordeal. At day 0, the dog goes into strict confinement and starts a 30-day course of a heavy antibiotic called doxycycline. It's not until day 60 that the dog finally gets their first injection of melarsomanine, which is a powerful drug used to kill the adult worms in the heart. Fast forward to day 90, they get 2 more injections, given 24 hours apart. After that, there are interim health checks, and the dog isn't officially cleared until a final blood test on day 270. It is a 9-month marathon of clinic visits, potent drugs, and massive stress.
And you know, the clinic visits,
That's just the tip of the iceberg. The home care responsibilities required during this whole treatment period are incredibly intense. From day 0, the dog has to be strictly confined to a small area or a crate at all times. Bathroom breaks are strictly leash only. There can be absolutely zero vigorous exercise, and for months on end, owners have to monitor their dog daily for coughing, gagging, or any respiratory distress. This isn't just a casual recommendation. It's a strict medical protocol that completely disrupts life for both the pet and the owner.
So why the draconian confinement? Well, the biology here is terrifying. When those melisarming injections kill the adult heartworms, the dead worms don't just magically disappear. They collapse, and the heart's pumping action physically pushes them into the small vessels supplying blood to the lungs. If a dog exercises, their heart rate goes up, pushing more blood into the lungs. That creates a remarkably high risk that those dead worms will pile up and cause fatal blockages. A simple game of fetch during treatment could literally be fatal.
The American Heartworm Society puts it very plainly. The most important thing you can do to minimize complications during treatment is to restrict your pet's exercise before, during, and after the melisarmian injections. The medicine can only do so much, right? The true success of the treatment rests entirely on your ability to keep a potentially energetic animal completely sedentary for months.
Which brings us right back to our original balancing act. We've seen the FDA warnings about the neurological risks of certain rapid-acting preventatives. But we've also seen the months-long agony, the strict confinement, and the fatal risks of treating a disease like heartworm once it takes hold. So here is the question you have to ask yourself as a pet parent. Is the simple routine of a monthly preventative, carefully chosen with your vet, worth it to avoid the agonizing realities of the cure? Thanks so much for joining this Explain